Okay, so you all have your writing prompt, and I'm just gonna go over it real quick for a minute and remind you of what you need to do over the weekend, and I will give you time at the end of class to set up your Turnitin account in case you haven't done that. Make sure that it's done properly. The prompt says, an epic is a long narrative poem that relates the great deeds of a larger-than-life hero who embodies the values of a particular society. So we have the definition of an epic, and you see why we've been discussing societal values the entire time. It's because it's part of the definition that the hero embodies those societal values. It goes on to say the ancient epic unit examined numerous epics of various civilizations and the ideals of each society portrayed. The study of the ancient epics revealed similarities between the cultures despite the span of time and geography. So, we have 5 epics: Gilgamesh, Iliad, Aeneid, the Ramayana, and the Gita. Why am I not spelling it right? And I think that's spelled wrong, but you know what I mean. And then it says, in 5-paragraph essay, demonstrate 3 ideals revealed in the epics we studied. So in these 5 epics, we found similarities, correct? We've talked about that every day that we've talked about the epics, and we've built on the similarities between them. Okay, so what you're going to do is that you are ultimately discussing 3 societal values that appear in all of those epics. Now, do I expect you to write about all 5 epics in every paragraph? No. I do expect you to discuss all 5 epics somewhere in your essay. Okay, but I don't expect all 5 to be covered in one paragraph. All right, and we'll get into more of that about the details in a minute about how much you should include. But obviously, we are not going to just throw up plot summary to me, okay? Because that's not what we need, right? Who can tell me? We're going to start talking about it says your thesis should answer the writing prompt. Who can tell me a good definition of a thesis? Answers the question, okay? 1 or 2 sentences, depending upon the complexity. You probably won't get to a 2-sentence thesis for a while, but 1 or 2 sentences that answers your writing prompt. Okay? By reading your thesis, I know what your body is going to discuss. All right? It's clear, it's understood, and it guides the rest of your paper. That is why when I write out-of-class essays, I write my introduction last. Okay? Because obviously, if the body is if the meat of the paper is your body, paragraphs, then you need to demonstrate what's going to be in your body paragraphs in your introduction. You need to know what they're going to say, right? And we know how the writing process works, hopefully by now. Do you get the perfect draft the first time you write? No. So you have to mull it over, think about it, write it out, and then go fix it, okay? So it doesn't matter how you write it, but I would definitely, after you've written that first draft, I would go back and re-look at, if you need to write your intro before you write the body, go back and reread your intro and make sure that you are, you've actually answered the prompt and that you have set up the body paragraphs well and the expectation of the reader, what's going to be covered, okay? The other thing, of course, is that you can use part of this prompt in your introduction. Okay, there's nothing wrong with using some of the language, some of the discussion, the definition of an epic, what have you, in your introduction. Okay, that's why I give you so much, rather than saying just demonstrate 3 ideals. Okay, I give you something to jump off of. Okay, all right. I'm not going to I'm going to write you a sample or show you a sample thesis in a moment. But before we actually do a sample thesis, we need to know what possible thesis topics would be. Okay, so we're going to talk about the actual values that could be discussed. I'll point out one more thing about a thesis. If it's a 5-paragraph essay, you will write what's called a 3-pronged thesis. Okay? That 3-pronged thesis is going to demonstrate the 3 points that will be set up in your 3-body paragraphs. Okay? Obviously, if it was a 4-paragraph essay, it'd be a 2-pronged thesis. All right? But since I asked for a 5-paragraph essay, you have 3-body paragraphs, you would then have a 3-pronged thesis. Okay? So before we get to a sample thesis, we need to talk about what societal values could be discussed in your essay. Mary? Okay. Proper burial. Okay. What else? Wesley? Okay. So, honor of warriors, would we say? That definition varies slightly, but they all do have a concept of what honor is, right? Douglas? Mourning for the dead. Well, and I was about to say, do we need to clarify that in that it's not saying never mourn for the dead, right? But it says that you should only mourn for a certain amount of time. So I'm going to put appropriate amount of time. We struggled in the last class with finding the just right way to say that. So you might have to mull that one over a little bit. But, something that Rachel, if I'm in your way, it might be better for you to move because I have to stand right here to write. I'm sorry. So we need to think of that phrase a little bit, but that's what we mean, right? What other values? God's control our fate. That would be what we say? Oh, okay. God's control over mortals. And that is a more generic way to say it because it differs, right, depending upon the epoch. Gods all have some influence, but it varies a little bit to degree. So that's a better, more generic way to say that than I was saying. Okay, what else? We've got proper burial, honor warriors, mourning dead, God's control, loyalty. In what way? Okay. Has that appeared in the ancient epics? Because I do know that you're talking, I know that there is a medieval epic. We're going to talk about those next week. We're only talking about, we're only talking about the ancient epics, the ones that we've studied up until this point. So there's that list up here that I gave you of these 5. Gilgamesh, Iliad, Aeneid, Ramayana, and the Gita. Yeah, I stutter it. So those are the 5 we're going to talk about. And you're going to get to write that part of it in a little while, in a week or two, okay? Okay, what else? Okay, let me give you all.
Did we say anything about the gods?
Well, we said the God's control over mortals, that they have influence over humans, right? Honor the gods.
Respect. Well, you could put that in the same category.
You think this is a sub point to the one above it?